Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. Sorry for the little delay here in the start. Of course, right? We wouldn't, it just wouldn't be life if we didn't have Murphy's Law occurring. And of course, everything that could go wrong before I started the show absolutely did. But nevertheless, we are here. And for the people who are paying attention to Bitcoin this weekend, you know what happened. We started to move. We started to get that feeling again, right, about the bull run. And of course, right, you can't kick off the week with some dreary let's crap on things type of show, right? We want to give some love to the freaking bull run, right? The bull run that's about that actually is starting, and we want to talk about where it's going and who's buying what and all of that good stuff. Guys, you know the deal. Before we do, we're going to give some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor, Archimedes Emp, and we will be right back.
Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium.
All right, so let's dive into what's happening, right? Because this week there is a whole lot of stuff. Okay, so let's get started here. So first things first, we've got Matador Technologies, a company out of Canada, and who is it? It's Mark Moss, who's the chief. I don't know what officer, something that has to do with vibes or whatever. Anyways, so yeah, these guys are obviously looking to purchase some Bitcoin, and here is their shelf registration. And look, they're looking to raise about $900 million. So no surprise there, right? We heard about Matador a few weeks ago as well. Yeah, there's just more of these companies coming to the table. And again, guys, for the people who have paid attention to the show, my take. I am not, I'm not trying to sell you this stuff. I'm just talking about it. I am personally not buying these things, but that is for my own reasons. I stay away from the things that I truly don't understand. And yeah, for me, it's Bitcoin. Anyways, moving on from Matador, let's see what else we've got. This other little one here. What is this? Consilium. Right, Consilium. So this is like another, another penny stock, which is essentially, what is it? They are looking for, what is it? They're issuing up to 600 million in new shares, but it's a penny stock, right? So it's like 35 cents a share. So, anyways, look, they already have 88 Bitcoin. So, in terms of the public perception, it seems that this company is gung-ho about Bitcoin and they want to hodl it. So look, here's some news. These guys claim that they're going to buy some more of it. Yay. Let's be happy about that. All right. To no surprise, MicroStrategy buys more Bitcoin. It's kind of funny, right? Not that I'm trying to be a downer, but it's kind of interesting how out of all these companies that are buying Bitcoin, it's really MicroStrategy that's kind of up today. I know CEP is a little up and NACA is pretending to show some life. But yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? Metaplanet's not doing very much. Anyways, moving on. There is so much more happiness going on. Look at this, right? Steak and Shake, as people know, Steak and Shake accepts Bitcoin for their food. They rolled out Bitcoin payments before companies like Cash App. Anyways, so look at what Bitcoin is doing for them, right? Bitcoin's cost efficiencies allow us to improve food quality without raising prices. Is it possible that we are slowly starting to see the Bitcoin fixes this narrative creeping into everyday corporations, right? I know that we're all excited about the companies that have no revenues that buy Bitcoin, but to me, I'm more excited about these companies that are integrating Bitcoin. And I get it. It's not that fun. And, the Steak and Shake isn't coming and, paying me sponsorship dollars, but still, this to me, that this is part, right? This is the bigger piece of adoption in my eyes. Anyways, moving on to, let's see here. All right, this week, as you guys know, we've got Crypto Week coming up. So the three big things that are being talked about, right? The Clarity Act and the Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act and the Genius Act. So let's dive into a little bit. So the Clarity Act defines the roles of the SEC and the CFTC in their regulation. I always find it funny that the government acts are kind of like the opposite of what they actually do. So it's yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun. Anyways, all right, moving on. The next thing is going to be the Anti-CBDC Act, which the irony in this is not lost upon me. Introduced in early March and seeks to prevent the Federal Reserve, the US central bank, from issuing a CBDC, right? And prohibited from using a CBDC to influence monetary policy and ensure that solely Congress can issue a digital dollar. How do I say this nicely? I feel like we're watching a play, right? Like the idea that, like, so okay, the U.S. government. Okay, the U.S. government goes and, if I'm not mistaken, they issue treasuries, and then what happens is the Federal Reserve buys those treasuries and or T-bills, and then they allow the U.S. government to print dollars. So I understand that they're doing this little kind of hokey dance with Congress, but in the end, are the stable coins that are being regulated by the state not CBDCs? Like, how are they not CBDCs? They're just corporate CBDCs. So I'm not. I don't know. I think this is all BS. This is all BS. Anyways, moving along to the final piece of this, the Genius Act. Again, right? The opposite of what it is. Anyway, so the Genius Act sets rules for the types of entities that may issue stable coins. Issuers must maintain reserves backing the stablecoin on a one-to-one basis, of course, in US dollars or other similarly liquid assets. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be that person that says it. Like, if you think that stable coins are not a CBDC, then I have some yield to sell you. Okay, because this is just absolute nonsense. Of course, it's a CBDC. It's just a CBDC by another name, right? We just slap a corporate logo on it and say, "See, what are you talking about? It's not the government." Anyways, okay, all right. Now, moving on, because believe it or not, the bullishness actually doesn't end here. Okay. We're going to pull this chart up here from Joe Consorti, right? Bitcoin at 118,119K has the lowest volatility of any major all-time high in BTC's history. So Joe is definitely bullish on this. And interestingly enough, he's kind of saying that we're at maybe one of the safest points in history to be buying Bitcoin, even though we're sitting at these price levels. I mean, look, I bought dips, I bought tops. I will continue to buy dips. I will continue to buy tops. So I don't really care. So I'm happy about this. I appreciate that sitting at these levels, it's not as volatile as we think. Anyways, all right, moving on here. The last piece of the puzzle, right? Is this the final boss for Bitcoin? That's right, guys. See if we can make it a little bigger. Okay. So here we are looking at the Bitcoin to US gold chart. You see this line up here? Mr. Bitcoin, tear down the line. We are so close to this. So look, the stars are lining up, and it looks like it can't get any better. It definitely does. The last thing I wanted to look at, right, is the price predictions, because of course, back in January, we had a bunch of price predictions. So let's take a look at them now, right? This was the AP Abacus account, 2025 Bitcoin price predictions. I know it's not often that I do these Hopium episodes, but why not, right? I'm happy too. Like, I know that not too many people see that happen, but yeah, like, I'm thrilled. It's doing what it does. So fun strat. I think that's Tom Lee, who's just like perpetually bullish about everything. Anyway, so 250K, that's his call for 2025. Matthew Sigel, he's looking at 180K. Excuse me. Rich Dad, Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki, 350K. Bernstein, 200K. Wainwright, 225K. Standard Chartered, 250K. Bitfinex, 200K. And Peter Brandt, 78K. The irony of this, okay, or maybe what is just funny to me is that Peter Brandt is like what? He's like a lifetime trader for like the last 40 years, and he probably has the biggest dog shit call in this whole entire list. It's kind of interesting, right? What does that tell you about technical analysis? Sometimes you can start to drink your own Kool-Aid. And of course, that the same is true for fundamentals, right? I'm not just saying that happens to people who study charts. But guys, like, what do you think? I mean, why not? I'm going to speculate. I would like to believe that we end up seeing the 200K top this cycle. I know that Josh Mandel has predicted the 444K. In all fairness, I love that, right? Why would I be upset about 444K Bitcoin? I wouldn't, unless I didn't have enough Bitcoin, right? Like if you don't have enough Bitcoin as much as you'd want, then of course you're not going to be too happy about this. But otherwise, that's a pretty sweet number. But genuinely, look, from what I'm seeing, I'm seeing a lot of people calling for anywhere between 160 and 200. I'm seeing some of the more bullish, reasonable people that I know calling for like 220 to 240. In all fairness, the best piece of advice that I can give to you guys is that when you're feeling exuberance like this, okay, maybe, and if you think that we're, kind of really high up in terms of Bitcoin's price for this cycle, maybe you buy a little less for now, while there's a whole bunch of market exuberance, if that makes you feel any better. Personally, when I was buying up on the run to 20K, I mean, look, when we hit that 19,946 level or whatever it was, I bought as soon as we dipped because the cheerleaders and I had bought the message that they told me, right? The cheerleaders had convinced me that we were going to 250K. I was absolutely certain that we were going to 50K that cycle because the people that knew more than me, that had been in this cycle longer than me, told me that this is what was going to happen. And obviously, we can see that is not what happened. Okay. And I did end up stacking, from that 19K region all the way down to like 3,400 something. I mean, I stacked the bottom of that from the top all the way down to the bottom. So I'm just saying, don't get ahead of yourselves, right? The people that are going to cheerlead, right? They are going to, like, this is what they do, right? Market exuberance creates perpetual bulls, and everybody gets ahead of themselves. And then in some cases, if the bull run, if we see price levels that are high enough, you can start to buy your own hopium, right? And you're going to start to see more and more calls for $1 million Bitcoin and this and that. And again, right, like us pulling back or just following a natural market cycle doesn't mean that, the Bitcoin story isn't happening, right? Like that would have been like me dumping out after we didn't hit 50K and being like, that's it, they lied, this and that. It's like, no, they got ahead of themselves on their own exuberance, and I need to go and check myself. That's all there was to it. And as soon as I did that, right, I stopped getting disappointed because I was no longer listening to these hopium cheerleaders. And if I was listening to them, I was taking it with a grain of salt, Anyways, guys, that's right. We're here. Happy times. Enjoy it. Suck it all in. Take it all in. This bull run isn't just melting faces right now. This is like pants dropping. Okay, that's what this is. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. That is all I've got. I will catch you all tomorrow. Peace.